on the 2022 parliamentary elections. And this afternoon we are speaking to a group of very powerful women's leaders, and they would like to make their contribution to the committee. What I will do, just as a matter of a simple process, I'll start on my right. You can introduce yourself and make your contribution, and then we move to the next lady, and so on and so forth until we come to the end. Introduce yourself, make the contribution that you would like, and then we move on, and then afterwards we can have an interactive session where perhaps you could ask us questions and the committee can also ask questions to end the session. Okay, so I will start with you, Ms. Beverly Aquila. Please press the green button in front of you, and you can manipulate the microphone closer if you need to. And
good afternoon. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our honorable members here, the Parliamentary Committee members. Thank you. And my name is Beverly Aquila. I am the Women's Rep, Provincial Assembly. And basically, my contribution towards this forum will be a couple of things I would like to bring forward in relation to the general election 2022. I was part of the observers team under the Australia National University, and there was a lot of things, but just a few things that I think that I should bring forward. In relations to the common role, there was a lot of issues with the common role, and that has been an ongoing issue. I would like to recommend that common role updates should be done at the provinces. Census at the LLG level should be done, and the provinces should own the common role. There was a lot of issues arise in terms of, in relations with the common role, and I would like to recommend here that if we have the NID system or the NID system fully implemented, it should solve a lot of the issues with names not present in the common role. We have had this process going on for a very long time now, and if we can give the provinces the power to do their own NID in their provinces, maybe we will have a more, I should say, a more updated and correct common role. So maybe a biometric system, voting system, maybe it should show some of these issues. And I would like to see that maybe happening. It has started, but we should complete, and it must work. There has been a lot of money pumped into that work to be done, and we haven't seen the result. And if we have that up and going, maybe some of the electoral issues will be solved. For example, we have our old people in the communities that are unable to read and write, but with a central electronic system, maybe using a biometric, we can have everyone, and they can vote from homes if we have that up and going. The other issue we also encountered during the elections was the women were kind of intimidated. A few of our women leaders here who contested, they did not even go up the ladder. Why was that? Probably we should really look at.
If I may, ma'am.
Yes.
Could you explain to the committee what you mean by the women leaders were intimidated? Be specific if you could. Thank you.
Intimidated in a sense where a lot of women here, and I think they will speak for their own, what experiences they went through. Eastern Britain, I mean, we value women and we respect women, but when it came to politics, women were not really supporting our women candidates for whatever reason, I don't know. And even women were told that if I'm voting for this candidate, you too must vote him. So women did not have that power and authority for ourselves to make our own decision. So that is something that I see, and it's being seen that women are not seen it as a game, as politics as their game. I don't know, it is the mindset of the people that has changed over time. We have made progress. When you look at the ward development at the ward level, we already have women leaders there who are actually ward members. But when it comes to the LLG, it is the men's game again. So for East New Britain, for example, we have a PEC who's made up of men only. So I don't know where is the balance there. The other thing, when we're talking women in politics, having a reserve seat should not be a scapegoat for us. Women should be playing the same playing field. But we should maybe come up with some strategies where I see when sitting in the provincial assembly, I don't have a connection. The system in the provincial system, from the province down to the ward, women are all represented in those decision-making spaces. But where do I link when it comes to the national level? There is a missing link there. I am a political representative at the provincial assembly. How do I connect? If I don't have a connection at the national level, maybe for example, we have a youth commission. The women, do we have a women commission or something? We have an act of parliament that says that every province should have a council of women. But there is no policy by giving this law act. We got teeth blongen.
Can I intervene just to help with the thinking?
Yeah.
First of all, you are not in support of reserved seats for women. I take that point. Secondly, you want to figure out how you can connect to the national level. You say there are no linkages now. That's the second point you made.
Yeah.
And your third point, which you just made now, again, what sort of policy would you like, and who should be writing that policy? I'm asking because shouldn't it be something that the women should be proposing as opposed to, I'm just asking. I'm asking as a representative, someone who represents women as well, and I would like to understand as chairman of the committee, and I'm sure my colleagues would like to understand what it is you mean.
Thank you. I am sitting in a provincial assembly. I'm trying to connect. Within the province, we have a structure, and that is a complete structure down to the ward level, and we have women representatives sitting there. But when it comes to national issues, I need to connect with other women in other provinces. But who do I connect to at that level? For now, we have the National Council of Women. That Council of Women, I don't know if it's functioning or not, I'm not sure. But when you see the Council of Women, a Council of Women, it was established as an association, which, let me step outside, but when I come in as a political rep, how do I connect politically? For now, maybe women is being parked under the social development sector. And I feel that we have community development, I feel that we are being shadowed. Mi plano sanap stret lo mi playet, na mi plano sin down stret lo mi playet. So.
Can I ask another question? There are two women who have been elected through the normal process that are now in parliament.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that? And as women leaders in this province, are you in contact with those two women leaders? Me ask him that's all.
Thank you. I am in contact with one, and I've been discussing a few things. for us to connect, one of the thinking that I had was, why can't we have a woman ministry, whether it be a male or a woman or a female? The women at the moment who are sitting in there, they represent their districts. They don't represent the women. So most times they won't be speaking the women. They will be speaking the issues of their districts. So it's good for them maybe to connect with the women networks. And they can also, when in there, they can also speak the voice of the woman.
If you read through the literature on the proposal for the reserved seats for women, it's suggesting exactly what you're saying now. And yet you disagree with it. Would you care to elaborate why you disagree with that?
I feel that as a woman, I have a right to contest equally. And when we're talking about gender equality and equity, I don't know if having a reserved seat will address that. Because gender equality now is a problem with us. And if you put him tasol 1+ seat, long marry, a reserved seat, you're giving that seat on a golden plate to someone. And for me, I feel that I'm not valued. I will not be valued. Suppose me run him same race, I feel that I am empowered.
Are you aware that there are some countries who have given a certain quota for women? Countries like Rwanda, for instance?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That would be a really good way forward for women.
You just disagreed with it.
Well, with
Rwanda has reserved seats for women, and some of the countries around the world have reserved seats for women. Bougainville as well.
Thank you. Culture blow you meet us all and by speaking this la. We have a very unique culture here. And I know that men in this country have respect for women. And although I don't agree with it, but if it's working in other countries, why not try it and how it works? I don't know. We've been talking about this for a very long time now.
Because I see the other women are agitating, the other women leaders. So perhaps I'll move along. One of you want to come in? Ms. Lanieta, you seem to be wanting to say something. Could I ask your opinion, maybe just generally, and we can come back to you, Ms. Aquila. Ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity in East New Britain, and thank you to your three honorable members of Parliament. And we are so privileged to be here today because we have a lot to say, but we cannot speak it here. We speak it here. There is an open line with REMB, but it's still not good enough. We want to speak to people who can bring it and take action on it.
Could you explain for the committee what you mean by REMD?
Oh, REMB is our radio station. They're doing a fine job. They have an open line for us to bring issues online, and they are aired on radio. And that's a good opportunity for us, but still, we need to have people who are in the right chair, like you people that are here, honorable members that are here. And we appreciate.
You have the forum, you have the floor.
Thank you. I am Lania Thawa. I stood for the regional seat in East New Britain in 3 consecutive elections, 2012, 17, and 22. And for me, I feel that 3 years is enough for me, so I went on air and told the public that I would phase out. But phasing out does not mean that I will stop speaking and in forums like this. So some of the issues I'd like to speak on today is the first one. During the election, maybe I will start with the point number 1 on support from parties. Parties were given, according to the Registrar for Political Party, they were given quotas for women. That did not happen. So I would like to bring to attention the Office of Registry to check again the parties to make sure that the quotas are practiced, and that at least parties do sponsor women who are intending to stand for elections. That's my number one point. Because one of our weakness for women candidates is that we have financial constraint that does not push us to go aggressively like the men do. Men are very aggressive during election. We cannot compare with them because we don't have the financial support. While still on issues on parties, there are parties, new parties, that come at the very last minute, and they come forward when they see that the candidates are those that are intending to stand are there and do not have support. They come forward and they try to support us. But it's all false, they don't come good, and we don't get supported. So please, there must be a period or duration in which parties should get themselves prepared, registered and ready to sponsor people during election. That goes back to the Registrar of Political Parties. That's number one. And if you hear the women, one of our biggest issues is financial constraint. That's why we don't win during election. We cannot compete.
Okay, can I ask you to spell out what sort of financial support you would be expecting? I was a member of the National Alliance Party in the last election, one of the, I suppose, major parties. And the only support I received from my party was they paid my nomination fee and I was given posters. The rest of it I had to do myself. So, and I think that, you know, some of my colleagues might have had similar experiences. Perhaps from the bigger parties, you know, you get significant cash support. So what kind of financial support do you need? Is it just posters, nomination fee, or is it in addition to? You know, spell that out clearly. You are on air, so I mean there are other women leaders watching from around the country who would be interested to know what it is that you are contributing here.
Okay, thank you. Besides the nomination and the posters, we women would like to be supported. We know that, I know that the party should support us 50% with financial support, especially with, for resources, especially transport. And I think transport is the main thing. Because of our length and breadth of the provinces, we need, especially for me, I contested the regional, and I had to cross seas, I had to go over mountains. I cannot get there because I didn't have the funds. And obviously for me, by the third election, I did not have much money. That was, all the money is dug out from my family pocket. And especially for us who haven't been contesting and we have not won or have anything, for mothers, we have many commitments. And we cannot fork out that amount of money. When you want equality, we cannot fork out that money because we still have family commitments. Men, maybe you will say to the family, I am contesting, this money belongs to me. I cannot do that to my husband. He will say, now this is family money, you can only have that much.
Ms. Lynette.
Yes.
What's your view on a proposal? I will make a proposal to you because it's the same issue we had from a women candidate in Morobe. Say funds no access. In fact, she actually asked whether the government could create a women in politics fund. But perhaps in terms of going forward, would it be possible for us to legislate a limit of party fundraising, a limit of funding used in elections through the office of the registrar of political parties. So no one is disadvantaged. Like, you know, if we say that when you do your returns after the election to the registrar of political parties, we will have to monitor that no party uses more than this amount, or at your fundraising, no private business, no donations amounts to goes past this amount. I understand New Zealand does that. And so in terms of a overarching policy and law, perhaps we could look at limiting the level of party donations, limiting the level of individual candidates using, and this is why we submit our acquittals, that at the end of the election, how much did you use in logistics, campaigning, posters, etc., etc. Because money seems to be an issue, and not only women, I think your male counterparts, when they don't have the right amount of money, they also lose candidates too. Because money seems to be, because you see people running around with the candidate that has hosted bigger rallies, more trucks running around, having a feast for everybody, and you are just walking around by yourself because you can't afford to have 10 PMVs to go around town, etc., etc. And so perhaps a way out would be have to relook at a ceiling of political parties' donations as well as usage of a level of funds during elections, so there is a fair play. Have you any thinking around this type of thinking? Because you are very experienced election, you've gone 3 big elections, regional cities big, and you've gone 3 times, and you haven't won. And in a matrilineal society, you still lost. And you are saying that apart from political party, funds is the second limiting cause of your inability to win an election. So we have to think big now. How do we address this issue of money as an advantage to winning seats in the country? So if you think about it, and those of you who are listening, think about it and come forward with some practical, realistic going forward, so we can legislate or we can do other things. What's your views on that?
I think that the Constitution has clearly spelled out equality for women in Parliament. And so the government should come up with something like a trust fund, like the Moravian women have I think I connect with them, and I think that's one of the ideas that we should, maybe a trust fund for women who intend to stand. We could apply for it as a loan to us to contest.
Could I ask your opinion on reserved seats for women? What are your views on that?
After the election, I went on air on national NBC, and I said that the Constitution needs to be checked again. I think our Constitution says that women should not have reserved seat but be nominated. And that is the hindrance to the reserved seat. That's why you people did not give us the reserved seat on a golden plate, because the Constitution needs to be checked again.
I was one of the ones, before I became a member of Parliament, I was a member of the task force that developed Vision 2050. We were the first ones under Puka, Temu, who was Deputy Prime Minister at the time, to propose the idea of reserved seats, which Dame Carol Kidu took to Parliament and it failed.
We brought it late.
Yeah, we brought it late.
Yeah, because election was close and all male politicians rushed, and then they never supported myself and Dame Carol.
Okay. Fast forward, when 2 women got elected to the Parliament from 2012 to 2017, the 2 women MPs who got elected said that no, Miblol Mary, or is it 3? 3 women. Only talk, Miblol, same views expressed by Ms. Aquila. Only talk, no, that Mibla must come in one demol man. So from 2017 to 2022, no got Mary. All right? Ting em kirapken, time no got Mary lo parliament. Okay, Mibla discuss him on and off. I think Prime Minister took the idea and he came up with trying to push for 6 reserve seats, trying to create 6 regional seats. But it never made it to the floor. I would have supported it had it come to the floor. Simply because, you know, you're suggesting the idea of getting additional money law, people marry law run law election. There might be genuine women, there might be those who aren't. I'm just saying. Just giving you a hypothetical situation. Now, what if you all get some money, you run, nobody wins again? I'm just posing you a question because I think you've got to look at the other side. My view is that we need a guaranteed pathway and with a sunset clause. Papua New Guinea no got opportunity lo looking all Mary perform long, display all senior leadership roles. All Mary come inside one term, all go outside next term. All come inside Ken lo narpla term, all got man talk, oh, it's all fine and well. Now you make a tupla Mary, so let's just wash our hands and no go 2027 and no got American, and then we'll start, you know, I mean, that's the PNG way. Yeah? So we need to be a little bit proactive in my view, and if we can have a guaranteed pathway, this is the reason why I am a strong supporter of reserve seats, because Papua New Guineans are always quoting Rwanda. Rwanda's women are guaranteed seats because clear pathway. So money in the deslol something, I mean, no issue. Pathway blol Mary. So just an idea for all of you women, not just here, but in other parts of the country, to think about it. Whilst we are the election committee, I good pla lo you play sit down, talk name lo you play it, through lo wanem kind forum lo you play, and come with a proposal, but not to knock the other proposals that are there without seeing the merits of them. Me yet, I've run 6 elections, and I've only won 2. And they're very costly exercises. And my own experience with political parties is that I've never been given any funds by a political party. I've had to fund it myself, and with my own friends and family. That's my experience. Other people might have a different experience. But I also know that money alone will not get you elected. I had a sitting member in my province who I'm aware spent close to 5 million in a very small seat logistically, and he still lost. And the person who won probably spent about 100,000. So these are the things, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an expert, except this is my experience I'm sharing with you. So just so we don't close off one doorway because we think this one is the right one. For women to have an open mind, and you may not can fight in bros time me talk, oh, I'm tupla Mary win finish na all stuff, so I'm you get a tight in bunna. Kain blame me PNG, people Mary too sabi able sa man some time. So the thing is, PNG needs women at those executive management, decision-making levels. And we need a guaranteed way to get women there. Once you play stop now, you play Toka, you play a matrilineal society, yet you're having difficulties. I come from a patrilineal society, and women do have difficulties, and that's understandable. But then, come Lohiana, Milan Bay, me play looking more some you play struggle, Bougainville, matrilineal societies. So if we have this struggle in a matrilineal society, can you imagine how much more difficult it is in other parts? So, just to help the thinking and to allow you to, let's not get stuck on the discussion. So maybe we move it along a little bit. At least you know where the discussion is going. Ma'am, you want to say some more, or should I move to another? Please go ahead.
Thank you. I support reserve seat, I do. my intention of my support is to make sure that there is voice of women in Parliament. That's the only, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to stand. I wanted to have a voice, and I gave myself to stand. But I support the reserve seat. If there are 5 seats in Parliament, then maybe the woman will be more comfortable. But there's still this other venue to contest, and I do support that. Preparing for election, I think we women are still mobilizing to set up foundations for us to try and so that we can support each other. But like I said in the beginning, we are family women, so many commitments. Sometimes we stand behind our men and we carry the load more than men. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll come back to our original process. Ms. Margaret Soba, would you like to say something to the committee, ma'am?
Good afternoon. Once again, good afternoon to all of us. And mainly I would like to say thank you to the panel, the members, honorable members, ministers. I will say that coming of you to this place is New Britain. And when I heard the call last night for this coming here, I was much happy. So today, there's a lot of things that have been said, but by Beverly, Miss Aquila, and my sister over there, Lynette Howard, Mrs. Howard. Okay, furthermore, I would like to say the task that I went through about the decision I make to stand as a woman. Lynette and I, we went to a same party, and it was a new party. The struggle that she has said, I won't repeat, it fall to 2 of us to say we were walking in the same pathway in campaigning, working together. I'm a widow, and she's still Mrs. Howard. I'm the woman, or late sower, and I made my decision. I couldn't cancel my decision when I stood up planning with my husband that I will stand. And he was still alive, 2020. So he left late 2020, so I still push on to carry out what the mission of the dreams that I have to implement for my women. Before I stood, I was the president of the Gazzelle District Council of Women. And there was a lot of things seeing in the level of the women leaders, like the Council of Women, as Beverly has been talking about. There was good things, and there was things that I can mention. There was good side, downfall, upgoing, and that where women goes. There was no good support from the government. As I can say, I'm not ashamed to say. And we went through, I stayed with the Council of Women the full 6 solid years, from 2015 up to 2022. May, I left for the campaign. With that, I feel that what I saw and the vision that pushed me to come in to run for the women's seat, I planned for what that I was going to do for my women. But it didn't come out right because, as Mrs. Howard already said, we had a struggle with finance. The little finance for family is not enough to push us like the transport and everything like this to move us to every. My area was the very mass population, Gazzelle district. So I feel that I did my part. Some of the LGs I went, but not too far, because I went on PMWs. Sometimes it's two of us working together. But seeing things like now, like Beverly already said, the culture of the East New Britain, yes, we can say that the matrilineal society, we women, me plow boss, but I say it's a lie. It's a true lie. I am the mother and the spokeswoman of my clan. I'm talking right now. And I can see, yes, we are saying that the women are me boss. And in the other side, men always take the side to do everything. So that's why I stood up to do something for my small women down there. I had a plan for my women as a women leader. And that was my aim. Start small. And the doorstep up. I would like to do things for the families. And then it comes like men thinks about big things. But a mother will go down to the level of where problems comes up. And that's where I'm sitting right here to give out what I felt in my heart. And what a big loss.
During the, sorry ma'am, I'll interrupt you there. Ms. Aquila mentioned that there was some intimidation of the women candidates. Did you experience any of that? And could you?
Sorry, come again.
There was some intimidation of the women candidates. Did you have any of that experience? And if so, could you share for the committee?
Yes. What you said is true. But I, for one, I take critics. I'm strong. Whatever I heard, and like that, the word intimidated, I went through it, but I don't talk about it. You know, it's me and him. I will say, I can't say much about that. I take that is a cross for me. And when I walk through that, there's something will change along the line. And now, thank you, Mr. Chairman, I believe that as we are going along like this, we women sitting and we can see what is going on. But thank you very much that you come in this far and to get our opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Soba. Ms. Kunai.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, my name is Kathleen Midu Kunai, and I challenged and I ran the Gazzelle seat. It was very challenging for me, my first time to stand. I took the challenge. Firstly, I would say I do believe in the reserve seat, even though if we women never made it, but when we are given the opportunity in the reserve seat, we can speak and give the balance. Mm-hmm. I was supported. I was one of the pro-candidate. I was given financial support from the party that stood me up. I budgeted well for it, but the support was very limited because I ran the Gazzelle and it was pretty big. One of my recommendation, you can take note long, plenty long online where all workman, they found it hard to leave place of work and come and do cast their votes. So to you committees, if you can put him some behind mark, penalize him all company, we only know release him all. Workman belong all logona. Because suppose one plus subsistence farmer, man blo place him can lose him spet belong him na him can go na. Bus na belong him na go na. Casting vote belong him. You workman too. You should do that. Because time we vote him member give him money, same road. This the subsistence farmer am casting vote belong him and one kind road. You may get by travel one time, so one recommendation below me, if you can do some penalty fees, would be good for companies that all thinking of money belong all na, you know, when it comes to national general election or country below me, they need to be lenient and allow all workmen belong, you know, to come and vote. The other recommendation that I have is, as a woman candidate, I bowed out very low. I saw that in the province, in Britain, we had a problem with our Council of Women, which I believe it's been considered by community development, which they would want to strengthen, put him good, because I believe that each one of us women, we could just ride in the Council of Women, you know, and, you know, just mobilize through the Council of Women, and we have a voice actually in the Council of Women, but I, for one, saw that if the Council of Women was functioning, not dormant in the province, I believe we would make a fair go, and, you know, be up there, you know, not to bow out very, very low, which I was one of them that bowed out very low, but yes, I was one of the women that was asked to attend the diagnostic forum in Mosby, and we voiced it and we brought it out that please, government of the day, strengthen Council of Women through law community development, and I believe the General Secretary is, you know, aware of that. So I look forward in getting Council of Women as a vehicle for us to perform very well. Because I know that...
Ms. Kunai, can you please expand what you expect of the Council of Women and politics? Can you explain a little bit more clearly? When I work by Council of Women, working, na help him all marry go inside the politics, or
Yeah.
what are the specific areas that you are thinking of that the National Council of Women should do?
Yeah. Ting below me, or some, so Council of Women and function, you know, function normal, because we play inside Lois New Britain, I'm dialectic, I'm dormant. So suppose Council of Women will straighten him, him good can, work him all election, belong all Mary or president. I think they're given some terms, but in our province it's dormant. So suppose Council of Women function, then I, as a candidate, I can come through the Council of Women. Let me go out into, apart from me myself going and doing my own campaign and all that, you know.
Apart from a party, or
Yes.
you join another party?
Yes, yes. Even though I'm in a party, but that Council of Women can also help me to go out and reach out to our women candidate, to our women, the whole population as women. Because for one, I believe in standing for the rights of the women and speaking some things which I feel as a woman, yes. Thank you.
There's one question, Ms. Aquila. You are in the Provincial Assembly. You are representing who, women or?
Thank you. I am supposed to be the voice of the woman in the province.
But you are representing the Provincial Council of Women?
That's supposed to be the case. Basically, I'll just add back to what Ms. Kunai just said. Council of Women is gone to, it's not functioning the way it's supposed to function.
We'll leave it at that, because there is in 2013, National Council of Women Act was passed by Parliament. So there is a law which legitimizes the establishment of the National Council of Women, then Provincial Council of Women, and District Council of Women. Yeah. So in my province, the chairperson of the Provincial Council of Women is a member of the Provincial Assembly. And in my district, the member DDA is the president of the District Women's Council. She's a member of the DDA board. It's not working like that here?
It's supposed to be working that way, and it has been working that way. For the last 10 years, there was some infighting amongst women leaders in the province, and that's where it went wrong. I am in now and I recognize the issue, and we have started the process to get the women back on track. I am sitting in the Provincial Assembly as an appointed representative, which I am sitting...
You're chosen by the governor of the province to be...
Yeah, it was an handpicked thing, which for me, I felt it was not the right way to do. And the reason being, because the Council of Women was not organized, the previous government had to handpick women leaders to sit on the Provincial Assembly.
We understand the process. I mean, one of the recommendations that you made was for the separate ministry for women be established. So, like Ms. Kunai, your intention to stand was to bring the voices of women. Whereas our belief is that anybody who stands must bring the voices of everybody, not just women or disabled or men or church or whatever. But there is the specific issue of women. I think the suggestion of establishing a dedicated ministry for women and home affairs like before, rather than general community development, too broad and too many things. So we have a dedicated ministry, then that could form part of the recommendations. I was just interested in trying to see how the structure of the Council of Women at the national and provincial level, whether you are trying to bring that organization into politics, whether that's the right way to go. Yeah, because politics will not be the answer for all the women's issues in the country. And therefore, I think the discussion and chairman brought out a dedicated pathway. Dedicated pathway, Rwanda example, Bougainville example, maybe a way forward with a sunset. So when we reach a level of maturity in politics, then anybody can stand and women will stand and they'll still win, etc., etc.
Thank you.
Yeah, just, while we're talking to Ms. Kunai, and I'm sure I'd like to move to Ms. Watts shortly. I understand from the candidates that did speak, there was an intention to represent the women. And I'm just wondering, to what extent did you try to appeal to the male voters? Ms. Watt. And then perhaps the others can come in on that particular issue.
Firstly, I'd like to make a comment here to thank the Office of the National Parliament to come to this level in the province to meet us for the first time. And I'm really emotional that way, like I see it, it was a bit overdue for a long time waiting, and for your coming here is timely. That is one of my distress while I was running for this election in 2022. I'm a former nurse by profession in a hospital of Nonga. While I was in the service for 35 years, I've seen the problem myself with my woman in my community. And with the service at the curative level, for my people to come and look for the service and to be sent back to the small hospital or the clinics is the one that make me think a lot. Can I go home early
and look after my people. I decided to retire at 56 years old in 2016 to go home. While I was in the village, I decided to stay for 4 good years to study my own people and see the indicators that has allowed this problem to arise in my community. I'm a single mother. I'm not a business-oriented, but my big heart for my people was the one that put me to stand. To stand and run as a single mother for this position is to take up, like somebody said, we'll have to follow the step up, but I did not go to follow the step from the ward member to up, but I went straight to the Gazzelle open. It was just a challenge, and my interest was to study the environment and have a taste of politics, and also to study that my constitution and democratic right to be a woman, also to go and exercise my leadership skills. With that, I'm not an expert in politics, but because of the issue that continue to arise in my community, pushed me to stand. If I've struggled with my children alone by myself, I see how the suffering of the community is the same as my small family. And I think what my input to that standing was more to look at reducing suffering in women, because beyond the millennium, women are still suffering. Why? We have facilities, why are they still suffering? And those are the kind of things that push me to stand up as a candidate and just take a challenge, but I'm happy that I have a taste and be part of the exercise. I'm not giving up, I'm waiting for another term to come, and I will still challenge. To be a leader, I was thinking of, you must have some good experience in leadership. I will take up leadership. That is some things that ring in my ears and is telling me that don't give up. My goal stands. When will the woman's suffering stop? And just one of the portion of my coming in to look at where I stand, how well I will be supported. But you coming in was my question that never been answered when I was eliminated from that main counting. I was happy to come out, but today I'm the Ward Development Committee, as I accepted it, in looking after health sector and disaster in my ward. And I'm happy to work along with anything like this with stakeholders to come and support me where I stand. And I'm looking forward to take up the challenge in the future to still focus on women's suffering. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watt. I'll move to our, maybe we've got a person living with disability, so Migolo, you Pastor Trango, you sit down long time. You former candidate belong Rabao Lopen, Miss Sova. So, Sovek, sorry. I give you the floor, madam. Press the green button. All right.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, me like to thank you, long committee, civic governor, Honorable Allan Bird, Sir Puka Temu, member for Abao, na ting Honorable Elias Kapawore. Firstly, me like to thank you, na big pla hamama sebelum mi pla Mary, and the people of East New Britain and New Guinea Islands. Firstly, I'm Rosemary Vartuam Sovek, and I'm sitting here wearing 2 hats. One, personal, as I ran as a candidate 2007 and 2012 in Rabaul. After the eruption, I made up my mind. Long Sanaplo election, because we saw that we were in the disaster after the volcanic eruption. And where I come from, Malaguna, we, and under Rabaul Urban Ward 8, we are the very industrial LLG. And there is really nothing happening. Copra, cacao, balsa, fisheries, everything is running under our nose. And me been looking all the same. Now, I thought of contesting in 2007, and I think it was 16 candidates and made it to the 8th position. And 2012, it was another over 15 made it to 6th position, and then maybe God bin got plan lo me na milk mo. I think I'm good for business. So what I did, we continue back low, go into business buying copra, na sea cucumber, and I exported in 2019. So seeing our people suffering after the eruption, bin got plenty something in come back. Rabaul was the pearl of the Pacific, and we had so much in tourism, and so much in all the four corners of business and all kind something will come up, but we had nothing up till today. Got plenty something for 10 million. Come, me plan to look for something inside the ward. There is nothing in our wards, and I think we need to educate people who are in the ward development committees. Must be educated about the proper governance inside the system. Now, you can connect the LLG from the ward to the LLGs, to the district, and to the provincial, and then up. So most of these people that ward recorders, well, you can kiss him these data for. We were talking too much, and we heard so many complaints about people being turned away. So 2022, me look him. Me been warn him all merry way round. Na kiss him lo plus bla me play at one of my aunties, and I told her, mate, if you plan to walk him straight this law, all updating of the common roll, the voting time, you play save your line blow you me, or line blow cross fight now, mangi blow you me, or kirap him, fight inside the Rabaul, and Olisa walk him, stand still, all businesses. Malaguna #1, where I come from. So I warned my auntie, and it did happen. Time only go voting law, go inside. There were no names. What happened? So we need to educate the ward recorders and give them sessions, because this Form 11 to come, you must understand the Form 11 in a honest, transparent, and accountable manner. So the time come voting, only stop inside. And you just don't pick Tom, Dick, and Harry from the village. They must be voted by the community or by the ward to go and become a ward recorder or become the ward development committee. They must be educated. This is where all Bami work up. This is what I see, and I'm talking from experience, and I'm wearing 2 hats here. I'm also the coordinator of East New Britain People's Progress Party. So time me looking also, the worst election I have done from 82, 87, come 92, 97, 2002, 2007, up till 2022. And the worst election of all was 2022. Why? And I do common roll blow before. I always have my common roll beforehand. So time, I think we were not given enough time for the ward rolls to be displayed and to go back to the ward so that all councillors, now all ward development, now me playet, we have the right to know that our name is on the common roll. Because me by vote. So right below me, name below me must stop. And we were not given enough time. So 22 was the worst election of all in my 27 years of politics. And this is something that me learning long all presentations, all provinces. I think Bougainville, me hama mas long all because I also vote in Bougainville on the referendum. My name is also listed there because me married long ham. So when I see this, me looking also Form 11, I think the challenge by go back long online electoral commission, they need to decentralize the work of a common roll back into the communities. But as I said, these people, ward recorders, or you like name them all one kind name, they must be educated. They must be educated. Only just pick him Tom, Dick, and Harry. Now we can't put him all. na time lo go lo wokim census on him. They don't come to the doors. Sometimes only come, all money stop lo bush or kind of them. That I don't mind. But you survey, you are in the ward, you know Usati stop long here. So you just try and write him Usati stop, get the information, put it on the Form 11. What's the big issue? When him something, he been stop him all. And then we were told, not in our Form 11. So there's so much money that Harim Pinis long all get a talk that so much money in the Electoral Commission. So this money for nomination should go back into the provinces. So time only no meeting man tablet budget belong only go on top. They have to take out from this trust account. There should be a trust account in all provinces. And this should be a recommendation to the committee to take it up one time, our legislators. And we hear that these legislators are becoming project officers. They shouldn't be doing groundbreaking ceremonies, presenting checks. This is a mockery. So me sit down long here. Me tokol se me verim tu plahet me sit down long here. As a disabled mother, just from 2020, I ran into my my illness, and I got amputated in PIH in Port Moresby during the COVID time in April. And it's really costly in a Pacific International Hospital. And then come the second leg in Nonga, it's very, very cheap because it's a public hospital. 50 kina compared to 91,000. And this is just, I think, health too. We need to look at health for women. So me sit down long here because me look him this la. Me I remember get the presentations. I was first here yesterday because I wanted to know, just going back. It's all about taking ownership. We have to take ownership of anything that is going to happen in the ward and in the LLG, in the district.
Sorry, Ms. Sovek, you said that the 2022 election was one of the most challenging one. One of the challenges that you face is the ward recorders not doing their jobs properly. What are the other challenges that you face?
Sorry, yes, me tokolsem the worst 22 because me tokolsem. When you go back, I have my common roles like from the past elections, and when I compare, only no sa walking walk belong all rausim to all diamond, plenty all diamond is tapiat all common role. This is one of the contributing factor. Now some play go inside because only tokolsem oh name all semester but me vote long in. And this is dishonesty. So they need to extract or take off the people that only sees. It hasn't been done. So what is the...
Sorry, you took some word recorders or Hemambla challenge you look him. What are the other ones that you took some 2022 was the most challenging election? Or from your observation?
Yes.
Apart from the issues with common role and word recorders, what are the others that you face him?
Ni something long in side long. I think campaign, the campaign time loss scrutineers. We need to get set. People who are going to be scrutineers, to running pre-election one candidates, like what was said earlier on, because in this way, education, awareness, advocacy is very, very important. And I sit here as an advocate, long, or say, Miss Harim something on radio, missing out him, councillor Blomi or line Blomi plan talk. If Harim to lo radio lo, all kind talk all same. Like what happened yesterday and today, because got information, even go out to communities. That's why most of my women folks were already been run. They didn't turn up yesterday because there was not enough awareness. For me, I was following up all the regional forums, and because I'm in a party executive, I was informed that, this meeting was going to come up. That's why I was first here yesterday. So I think this is a big challenge, Mr. Colson. We need to get people that are educated to read the forms and understand the forms that it come in, because all the something, only writing law English, you know, talk less below you me. That's why this is why I'm saying education, awareness, and advocacy is very, very important. So time milkul kolsem, mito kolsemo. I think not plus something too. Candidates, some committee.
Ms. Sobek, how about your views on the people living with disabilities in terms of election systems, representation? What's your specific views on how should the country handle the persons living with disabilities?
Okay, I think disabilities, milukimolsem istapanit lo health. I mean, you're a former health secretary, and I think the disabilities should go underneath law health, not community development, because milukimolsem community development people, they only sit in their offices and in the LLGs, they are called community development offices, but they don't come down to visit the disabilities in their homes. They should be running around like Australia, America, Singapore, all halfway me go. Me looking all disabilities here, or workman, or government, or they come and visit them all the homes because they cannot move out because due to transportation, number one. For me all right. I can move around. But how about on our Platurango? So there must be my recommendation is for health to take back disabilities to go on in it law health sector, so that when they're sick of them, it will help people, not community development. Because community development are not health officers, and they don't even know when there's something wrong with them all.
Thank you, Ms. Sobek. I think the committee takes note of your concerns, particularly for the issues around the ward, the electoral roll at the ward level, and with the need for better support for people living with disabilities when it comes to elections, but also generally, which you discussed. I'm going to ask Ms. Zhao to make a comment, and then after that, I'm going to call for a short break because I think we still have members in the audience who want to take part. So, but if there are other women women leaders here who would like to sort of make a few concluding remarks, I'll allow that. Ms. Zhao.
Anasain Zhao is my name. I'm ward member of my ward, Vunairoto, North Coast Road. There are three things I'd just like to mention. A lot of women did not vote in the last election, and that is the 2022 election, simply because the names were not on the common roll. Form 11 was not even available when we asked for them. That's one. Two, a lot of, I'd like to appeal that the common role update should be given back to the community. Yep. Right now, we are doing, my ward, not only my ward, but the whole government is working on update of the ward record book, and my WDCs are working on ours at home. While they're working on that, they're doing a lot of work, but they're doing that voluntarily. On top of that, the WDCs, the ward recorders, are not even paid in our LLG, in our district. And while we are doing this, they're doing this freely. And I'd like to ask if it is taken back to the LLGs or to the local level government, to the provincial government, and especially to the community government to update the common roll. We need money, we need finance to do that. That's my number one. My number two, there are a lot of candidates contesting one particular seat. At times we asked, my goodness, this is so many candidates. And the answers were, noga sampla longolia, mi plaputim lo splitting vote. So is there a law? Is there regulations? Is there some cross-check to see if those that are standing are genuine candidates, that they will work for their communities? That's my second one. And my third one, people do not take elections seriously. When I'm asking, I was a teacher for a very long time, but when I get home, I still work as a teacher at home. When I'm asking, my goodness, there's election going on in this, are you coming for election or by me electing by working on me? By me electing by giving me some plalo money belonging. So I'd like to see I'd like to see prosecution to take place if there is no, when they do not come for election, if they do not vote. And those are my 3 points. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was very articulate and really, I guess, thought-provoking suggestions that, we've got our head of NRI making notes at the back there. Women leaders, any of you have some final points before I call for a short break?
Yes.
Madam Watt?
Yeah, upon what I just shared with us, I'd like to propose, finally, before I make my closing for all of us, that the woman should have a party. Number one. Two, that reserved seat must not be removed but leave there for opportunity of women to be voiced in the parliament. And thirdly, to discourage the split voters. Those are the ones that bring big numbers of voters to stand into any elections. With that 3 points only, I bring over to support my women folks. I'd look to take this time on behalf of our women leaders sitting here. We are thankful that torch is in the tunnel for us, and you are ready to support us in time of difficulties when it comes to situation of elections. We will not fail ourselves that we don't have that potential, but we are still striving. We look forward and we'll thank the Office of the Parliamentary National to bring you down to us to this level of the provincial level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Watt. With that, let me thank the women leaders from East New Britain, but representing NGI in general. And I must say, it's been a very rich conversation. And the committee thanks you for speaking up on behalf of women. Before I let you all go, I want to just inform you that I am Deputy Chairman of the Gender Equity and Women's Empowerment Committee. The chairman is the Honorable Powes Pakop, Governor of NCD. There was a request when we were in Morobe that the committee should listen to the women in Morobe, the women leaders in Morobe, and there's already confirmation that from Governor Pakop that there will be a visit there. If there is an interest from the women leaders here in East New Britain, then I will also extend your invitation to Governor Pakop to consider making a visit here. And I believe that committee is interested in part of our proceedings as well. So just to let you know that we will be happy to, this committee is looking at elections, and there's a specific committee looking at women's empowerment, but there are cross interest in some of the matters that concern not just elections, but empowerment of women in general. So I wanted to just make that point clear to you. With that, I thank you for your participation and your contribution in what you've just given to the committee this afternoon. I will now suspend the hearings for 15 minutes. There's coffee here and some biscuits and whatever. Please help yourselves. And in 15 minutes time, we'll organize for the remaining participants to take their seats, and then we'll reconvene. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
you.
Could the Secretariat chase up everyone? I'm missing the deputy too, so just make sure we haven't lost him somewhere in the corridors of this very nice hotel. And please take your seats. All ayumi ka tripla tasol meeting plantia. Everyone, and welcome back to the final afternoon session of our Special Parliamentary Committee hearings into the conduct of the 2022 elections and elections generally, and looking at all of the issues associated with elections. We now have a group from the East New Britain community. We have a youth rep, we have a private citizen, which is good. We have an LLG president and the deputy governor. I will start with our private citizen because you seem to be ready, sir. So I will start with you, Toluluai. Please make your contribution to the committee. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. Me got big plat of thank you long. There's a lot big plat ting been come up long. You may look back long. All AV been come up long national election. You know last year, 22, but also the previous. Planti talk you me talk pinisa. Na big plat failure long all election blow you me. All people in a vote. And we go back in long the updating of the electoral roll. Lomi yet, misa luki mo sema. Government, emino funding good electoral commission. You look him. Suppose government emi funding good electoral commission long all gata here. But I believe all gata here within the 5 years, but all have work long updating good or common role blow you me. Now suppose government emi funding good electoral commission long all gata here, but you me looking to all the same plenty everywhere you me say bungim long all elections, national general elections will be taken care for within that 5 years. But only go work in awareness long all people. Now all semi talk pinisa. But you can work one time all board recorders. Now updating all electoral rolla. That is la. Me looking all the same. Electoral Commission emi one pla constitutional office where government emi lose ting long give them good pla kaya good pla money lo working work belong na. Me believe to all the same suppose electoral government emi funding good electoral commission. You may work talk long decentralization of the printing, the updating of the rolls. And only working the so long all office all electoral commission office in Salo province.
All right, sir. Me stop him you lik na. Also, me pla committee make him sample work find him out finish na. Me just give him you sample look sabe talk. Electoral Commission lo display election only kisim 311 million. Na outlaw desala I think East New Britain I think 1 million tasoli come long East New Britain from the discussions that we had. I think Manus Tui kisim 1 million tasol. West New Britain suppose you play been stopped last couple of days by Plaharim. All right, Mipla tu lo committee Mipla got big play interest lo find out. This is all got the money go away. Me too, me like to understand because me man long push long understand him all this something inside long look also talk transparency na accountability. Me plus big sa talk also big me plus sa katim lo place kile me plus no sa katim lo asplot diwai lo bus. So just to clarify that, and I will tolai smile because you play understand. But just to make you aware, the police received about 150 million. You know, all up, the last election, national government he give him over 600 million. Abrusim $500 million. So M1 pla work find him out where committee two like understand that. That's why when we are talking to the provinces, we are asking them, you plug Simamas money, you plug Simamas money. The secretariat is actually collating the numbers. So far, I would say that the direct funding to the provinces out of this 311 million, by my estimate, comes to potentially around 30 million so far. That's my estimate now. So me still, as a person who has a financial background, I'm still curious as to what happened to the balance, 200 and, I don't know, 80 odd million. So me just talk sabeta sola. So time you play talk long funding. We know that the funding was late, but we also know that it was a very significant funding. We also know that because it's a constitutional office, the Ombudsman Commission and the other agencies like Auditor Generals, the powers that they have over the checking of the accounts of all constitutional officers, those powers are a bit hazy at the moment. And there was a court case recently to try to define how we can hold constitutional officers accountable. So this is a committee, because it's a parliamentary committee, that puts us slightly above constitutional officers, and it gives us the right to question how they function. So me just give him this legally clarity that's all long, guide him or ting na talk going forward. Toluluai.
Thank you, Chair. So, lo government is giving money long electoral commission. Emsa give the salakain money ta solo time long general election. So long one year, government is allocating amas golong the PNG electoral commission. Long one year, all the same 23, 24. Na be now 25. Oh, by waiting ta sol time lo election di ka by give this 300 million na long one year before lo election government sa give mas.
Long this lam you miss away also all annual funding and all the agency is akisin. But for specific like time electoral roll update, I got special budget belong. All agency also NSO, when they want to do a census, they have a separate budget requirement. Only sing out 200 million last time, or was it 200 plus? So, me play also committee me play curious as to what all this money is used for, because the operational funds are given, that we know. And then if you've been you Harim Storyblol province, including your own. A lot of the provincial governments have been putting money in. Me also, me staff governor, me saw also ECP province, have been spending close to 4 million kina lo display election. Me saw lo desla. So I'm very close to that and I understand. So as a governor, I'm curious as to how much money electoral office exim, how much did they send to my province? The police, how much did they get? I understand that only 140,000 was sent for the police, lo province for me. And my province is about maybe 5 times the size of yours. So just to give you some of the, I guess, perspective, some perspective into the discussion. So all agencies, you miss I kisim money, all get a yarlo. Now when I'm kind of special work you got, you miss I kisim. The issue that some of us have, and if you've been following the discussion, for me personally, from a provincial perspective, I want to know how much money the police are getting in my province. I don't know. I've been in parliament 6 years and I still have no idea how much money I come down to police. Health, me play one of decentralizing penis. I go down to provinces, so me play got control over health. You come along police, you know, got electoral functions, same thing. In fact, in ECP, if the provincial government did not intervene, the elections would have failed. Plenty province, I mean one kind. If the provincial governments did not come in and intervene, those elections would have failed also. So hence interest blow you me. Lo side blow money. Plenty agencies say plenty money. Now me play some play you ask him question, well, what are they doing with the money? I still want to know what they are doing with the money. Even if the money is late, then they still spent 311 million. Where did they spend it? Maybe I question him Defense Force. Defense Force, he talking people all get a helicopter hire, all use him low election. And Defense Force paid, Police Force paid for it, not the Defense Force. The police paid for it. The Electoral Commission didn't pay for anything. So this is like kind of something, maybe like reconcile him and find out who paid for what. Because when the national government is, kind money money, they're spending it on the same activity. So this is part of the confusion that we are trying to dig through. So I would ask you to steer clear of the financial question because there's part belong terms of reference belong lo committee lo lug long. So we will continue to dig into it to understand that. So me talk sabai lo desla. So please focus on other issues.
Thank you. Pamigi impas tem long all na reply bien.
All right. Good blah. Me like me looking molsem to wawaga. You ready so? Mi holim deputy governor ba mi larimem tok bian ba mi golong youth rep na bianika because you look also politics tok back ma to wawaga yeah MLLG president mi look sabe so was you like tok planting mi wone mi ba mi intervene.
Thank you Governor belong is speak la tuan chairman of the committee Honorable Allan Bird, Deputy Chairman, Sir Puka Temu, the member belong about.
Say inap you pull him microphone go close to lo yuna. I'm now no go to line lo backside no hari.
Thank you. Member belong Pomio, satu member of committee, Honorable Aleska Pavore. Thank you long. You plug and come na harim. Sampla all ting belum long. Post-mortem belong this 2022 general elections. Chairman me, plan all talk plan all land belong express impinies, express experience belong 2022 elections. All one roles and multiply common problem. Long LLG belong me, I think just maybe 50-60% of the voting population only been casting more votes belong all. And the reason being their names were not on the roll. And it's probably common, and I agree with the other speakers who came and spoke that 2022 was the worst election ever. That, and mainly to do with the common roll. Form 11, a lot of people spoke about Form 11. For 2022, that Form 11 was never cited, or in my LLG it was never used because they didn't trust, maybe they didn't trust the vote recorder who was tasked to verify and confirm voters in that particular community. My suggestion, my recommendation to assist with the recommendation is to, if we can possibly decentralize the common roll to be available in the province, maybe a year or 6 months prior to any elections. And then when it's available, people can put it on the board and maybe verify and confirm if they are eligible to vote in that particular election. So that's my recommendation. I'm not going to say much, but I'd like to just speak on the case of the ward recorder, who's tasked to carry out administrative role in the ward. Now, in my view, the ward recorder should be an officer that is free of any political influence, and because his appointment, currently his appointment is appointed by the ward member when he gets in after the ward elections or LLG elections, and is there for the duration of the term of the ward member. Time ward member he lose long next election, and to go out. Now we need to have ward recorders. The ward recorder, in my view, should be a permanent officer who should, for continuity purposes, should be there to make sure that programs in the ward must continue even during and after a ward or LLG election. And also, it should be free of any political influence. It means time become ting long electoral commission long involve more long this electoral role now from 11. It should be tasked with making sure that those people who come and cast their votes are genuine or genuine members of that particular community. So I'm sapla tok bian long ulam sapla tok oli tok long and finish. But bigla tok why me think we must come along this la forum or this la boom we got. MOSM. I come from a LLG that is currently going through a very difficult time where law and order I mean one problem. Now I'd like to ask the committee if they've considered that in future we might have some problems with the election process.
If I can intervene.
Yes.
Suppose you go through long, I think online, you may get all first all get all sessions block committee. Let me stop online. If you will see the one where we cross-examine the Commissioner of Police. Commissioner of Police, I give him this la talk. I think Defense Force Commander too, and confirm him talk belong Police Commissioner. Only talk also. In 2012, they always mark him. They have an election map. So all the province only put him color code. The ones where they expect trouble, they put them in red. The ones that are sort of halfway between problems and not got big play heavy, only put him yellow. Now those provinces that they felt were easy to execute the security operations long elections, only put him green. Long 2012, about halfway green, some were red, mostly in Highlands, that's all got red, na one lo nabisi yellow. 2022 elections, tamolikam long 2022, or 2017, only to call them planty ego yellow, na planty ego red, na green ego come down. Long 2022, inogat more green. Olgata ego yellow, na red taso. 2027, they're expecting that majority will be red. Their advice to us as the committee, and it's on the record, you play it, can say him, only to call them. Even suppose you play doubling size blow policeman power and a doubling size blow defense force, we will not be able to solve it until you play fixing election process. Now you play fixing behavior, belong all candidate, no supporters belong. That's the advice from our security forces. So just lokam long, strong him think blow you. This is the reason why the committee is very serious in the work we are carrying out, because if we don't do a good job, and if we don't bring in the changes that are necessary, we are expecting, already predicted this year by our security forces, that 2027 will be the worst election we have ever conducted in this country. So Dr. me give him loyuna, you may continue, sir.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Chairman. I think I must say thank you that this concern has been addressed at this time, because I know future elections will be problems. It's just to do with drugs. Drugs, all of our youths in the communities are involved with drugs, and we, like you've highlighted and you categorize different provinces and different regions, but for now, like I continue to tell my colleagues, my friends, that we stop on the plan now, but maybe it's a season and blue plan, but the next few months and time blue plan. So this is a trend that is going around. And I'm glad that you've actually captured this concern, because I'm worried that no good in future. All leaders believe me now, all by all man, all drug lords where they're using the power of drugs, using the power of our youths, they'll get elected and boleh rausim sampai lu long up. You are genuine leaders right now, but in the next 10, 15 years, you know, we might lose good leaders like you now, and you'll be replaced by people that's why me like go back long, ting long, time long election, you must screen them all man past them. Get the genuine ones, like for example, because I'm from Kokopo, instead of having 30 people contesting for Kokopo Open, why can't we just get 4 people representing the 4 LLGs in Kokopo district to go into the elections? And by then we should be able to see get the best member, the best candidate to represent that district in the national parliament. Because otherwise, if we're going to allow just the government continue to allow every people to contest, we might be surprised that parliament, which is an honorable house, belong to the country, may pull up on them all drug lords. And it's my fear. So, Chairman, I'm legally contribution to the forum. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think that's a very timely warning to those of us who are doing this work and taking a look into the future. We appreciate your contribution to Wawaga. Me go long youth rep now, Mr. Patiliu.
Yep. Thank you, Chairman, Mr. Honorable Allan, committee members, law panel, alias Honorable Elias Kopaware, Honorable Dr. Puka Temu. As a youth rep, we got sample look to or sample of you long this all elections where we come and in companies. Especially 2017 and 2022, also make mention, I've got a few points, only recommendations. As you can see, number one, we are in a disaster risk zone, like some other provinces, especially here, one time volcano, risk to tsunami, this all something also. Me understanding also we get budget to solve all election. But me ask him if he got disaster risk budget plan, risk areas too. Suppose he can come inside. Long I leave him if any rain or if something may come up by not disturbing program, election. Another something concerning this all temporary election workers. Concerning all youth, is it by law that only public servants could work in the inside on this law, like also all officers?
All election workers, huh?
Yeah, election workers.
Response me also. And me too, I just learned about this during the process. One plus strong play thinking come up now, law, just restrict him, law, public servants, that's all. And the simple reason for that is this. Suppose one plus public servant me involved long conducting election, some foul play come up, or it can be proven that this public servant was involved in election or illegal election practices. Now you play kotimemo, then the administrator can take some action against the public servant. So there'll be some penalties involved. Suppose you me kisim all man nothing lo street na putim, only make him some plaswa long time long election. We have no, at the moment there is no way to penalize the some time only walk him aswa long time long election. So just to clarify that, and to me personally, I think that's a good justification because you may need law, you got some like and control law election. You may put him any kind of money go inside na. So me decide law make him some aswa na. You may not got way long put him some penalty on top of him, then we jeopardize the election. So I think personally it's a good idea that we let the public servants run it, but we clearly define the process so that some why come up and it can be proven, and we can finish the work or and lose him all entitlements belong him or some penalty can come inside. So just to clarify that.
Okay, thank you. One place look to in these elections, by looking also all youths, they were the power behind all the candidates. And certain things all plenty youths all working, even youth mobilization na disla. Now even all issues may come up all the province by panimol say no lapun man working and all youths. So is there a regulation whereby me working that by Yalivim all candidate is enough that anything that happens, if it is youth belong all or something where you can come up in where before election they can talk to the youth or to the supporters. Government give some one belong also that Bali remind him all youth that if you do this and this, we will be removed from the race. Just to minimize what is happening because the youth is behind all the forces that is happening to this nation. And one part of the resulting thing.
Thank you, Lord, this suggestion. I think we received that, we've been from some of the provincial consultations, they're recommending stronger penalties against candidates and supporters. So in some of our recommendations, for instance, we could be suggesting that one of the penalties, suppose you candidate or supporters, you're going to disrupt the election process or they're violent towards some other supporters in this plakain. We could, for example, extreme measure, the candidate will be banned from ever running for an election again. So these are the, example me give him, me play no, this still under consideration. We have to go back to our advisors, people like the NRI and all these guys, and then you may scale him good now. But we will be bringing in a range of penalties for election-related offenses. So I'm back Karamapim Desla issue where you raise him, but the good plan law is part of our validation process. Me pla kam lawyer na you pla raise him. I'm a good plan. Thank you. You continue.
The other thing is the voting system. I just heard one of the mothers only mentioning law NID system. As we were speaking out, discussing, I said it's like shooting two birds with one stone. Like, what if you may NID, you may talk also all the man or Papua New Guinea say me work him only register. Without registration, nobody will vote. So by you finding also more man now preparing for next election, they will all go and register and register. And when this happen, probably we can do it like what is happening overseas or some electronic voting or because everybody will be registered, even disabled, so we can carry on something got all only register or house blow or some thinking that's all. Thank you.
I think, let me thank you on behalf of the committee. Those are very constructive and worthwhile suggestions coming from a youth rep. So me like commend him you now. You obviously a very worthy representative of the young people in your province. So let me thank you and commend you for that. Members,
thank you. I came a little bit late, but thank you for coming and speaking. But I was interested in Mr. Patulu, the young man's comments. And with regards to temporary election workers, and so the response was perhaps the public servants should be the only ones, because the public service general orders can cover and discipline them, whereas outsiders, you may not get process. So that was one recommendation. But perhaps an option, if I suggest an option, I'll get your views. In an election, we engage policemen, defense, and our correctional. They're already there for security. But we are not ready in terms of polling officials, counting officials, scrutineers. We just, time come na, you may call up nabout na, piney more line. And in the process, as you are complaining, other people come in and they become polling officials, etc., etc. Perhaps we've got young people who are unemployed at the moment, problem in the country. Like police, and there is a critical mass of security personnel in the country that we can call upon. Couldn't we, in preparation for elections every 5 years, have a critical mass of polling officials, counters, and scrutineers through a training program? So once they go through that training, and those people become eligible, so they know the rules, they know everything, so no fighting in the counting room, etc., etc. That we undertake a skill training in elections and certify them. And as candidates, if you become a candidate and you're looking for a scrutineer, he will say, okay, for me in Abao, I will say, how many of you went for that training? I want to engage you as my scrutineers. If you give me a course that you have done with a certificate, I can engage you, but these are the rules, etc., etc. Would that type of approach attract young people so they come and they are trained and they look forward to the next election or LLG election or by-election or any election that the country goes? Electoral Commission is also asked for PEA elections or other elections, or this critical pool of people can be called upon and participate. And we negotiate the rates for them, because everybody is complaining now to review the rates of polling officials, counters, etc. What's your view on that?
I think it's a valid point, and it's a good view where we should take into consideration. But the other thing on top of that, it's also educational, because a lot of these youths, they need to understand the system when they are in there. So if a youth is been trained for 5 years, like you say, and the WDCs and the committee in the ward, they do their part, and they understand which youths have been part of this system, this education, and they go in, the youths will also know how election is run, and by educating them in there, this time by minimizing or something we only know understanding maraside. Sample youth, without knowledge, people perish. You may understand him this land. So with the little they had, all is a walking ball mistake. But I'm only part inside from this all sit down inside, all looking what is happening up there. I think I'm educational and way forward belong country. Thank you.
Good plan. Deputy Governor Garep and President Wawaga, the question will go to you for both of you to answer. There is a period called the awareness period. Awareness. So those candidates who intend, so we call them intending candidates. So they organize themselves and they go out awareness and they choose a period 2 years before the reach or 1 year before the reach. And so what happens is when it comes to election petitions, anything that has happened after the writs are issued is illegal, an illegal practice. And then those who are not sitting members of parliament are complaining that the period of election needs ino lonpla. And therefore the sitting members of parliament have an advantage over the non-sitting members. We need to find a solution. And my suggestion, and I want your comment, is the so-called awareness period. Why don't we stop calling it awareness period? But we said from this period you can start campaigning. If you have enough resources, you campaign 2 years ahead. Your money will finish during the election and everybody will pass you. So what's your view on this? Rausim display awareness, but like what United States do through their system, there's a 12 months campaign going on, and then they eliminate the candidates until the last one, and then one platasolem come up with this party. 12 months, they go campaign, so the party assesses and eliminates. What do you think about this? Because I think we are sometimes too rigid, so when the laws are too rigid, like black market system come up. So this black market system in election is, one of these areas is awareness campaign. Why don't we formalize it? So we say 12 months before the reach, you plug and go on a campaign. You go and organize yourself 12 months before. Sitting member 2 and by walking all same. What's your view?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Chairman. I think I'll respond first, and maybe later on Deputy Governor can respond. But currently, when you go into a awareness program, or, in that period, a lot of people, they especially other intending candidates, they just say that that's early campaigning, and then early campaigning is an offense under the Electoral Commission. So I think it's also the job of this committee to make sure that you clarify, and if it is possible, the suggestion that the Deputy Chairman is...
Well, that's what we are asking you. We are here to make the amendments where you people like it. Now suppose you play Tokol Sem, like you play Tokol, right? You play member of parliament, you have an unfair advantage. You play using money blow government or whatever. And you already essentially, well, the way I see it, and my colleagues can disagree with me, but time member am gonna give him check or make him one MLO during the 5 years and stop. I mean, that's essentially campaigning. You mean no can high team. So suppose you me talk send him loan, larim those who are not candidates, and even the member himself if he wants to, the 12 months prior to the election, there's awareness here, it can be formalized, so-called awareness. So those candidates that wish to take part, they can go out there. And I think that's essentially what Deputy is saying. We are not saying we don't like the idea. What we are trying to do in this process is to understand the difficulties that are leading to disruptions of elections, that are leading to the violence in the elections, that's leading to by me talk on a description where you miss at last election was worse, this is getting worse than last election, and the next one is going to be even worse, a disaster. So we want to look at all of the elements that are important for us to consider. So if intending candidates, for example, say, all right, people like start early, let us start early. You all members of parliament, you play, you got advantage because you are a sitting member of parliament. You're already doing the job, people know who you are, you have an unfair advantage. So people like start early. And if that is the suggestion or the interest coming from the community, then by all means, I think we should consider it. And if our colleague members of parliament are upset with it, then it's up to us to try and convince them to say, look, this will lead to a more peaceful election. Candidates will not be, and then things like say Puka was suggesting. Now you play to talk, yeah? Training of officials early, making all something early. Command role early, everything early, planning early. And then, like for me personally, as governor of my province, I had an issue in the last election where time ombudsman commission ikam na talk stop him all all funding blow election, blong province. So for almost 8 months, we had no access to funds. We were running around begging, and then IFMS system took collapsed. Now it became very difficult to operate as a province. So I have had one-on-one discussions with the chief ombudsman to say that, look, let him all province operate. You don't need to shut him down on account. If there are issues to do with misuse or misappropriation of public funds, then you all agency staff, you come na. You don't need to close him account, you can't operate, and channel everything through a very small funnel. So All of those issues, people need to deal with them. Because elections affect the operations of provinces. It affects service delivery. It affects the livelihood of people. I mean, in the highlands, many people get killed at the time of the election. Only say in this threat.
And properties.
Property destroy, and the fighting is still going on now as we are sitting in this room. So we want to figure out how we can holistically conduct an election that it doesn't risk the lives of people. It doesn't disrupt their livelihood. It doesn't disrupt the flow of services. So if candidates want to go and campaign early or do awareness or whatever you want to call it, and Yuplalo community think also, and by Halabi, we should consider it. That's all we are saying. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. I'll continue. Thank you, Chairman. I think if maybe from me, I would suggest that if it's going to be for a level playing field, then I suggest that we allow at least 1 year for awareness to take place for any intending candidate that wish to contest the next election. That's from me. Thank you.
All right.
Deputy Governor, you sit down, you have a talk penis. You got some ting, you like Edim. You can pull him, microphone, he come close to little you. Him now.
Thank you, Chairman. Firstly, me acknowledge him, Yupla Special Parliamentary Committee on this 2022 national election. Chairman yet, Honorable Allan Bird, Governor Blong, ECPIC, Deputy Bloyu, Deputy Chairman, Member Blong Abau, Honorable Sir Puka Temu, na Committee Member Blomi Playet, Long Eastern Britain, Member Blo Pomio Open, Honorable Elias Kapawore, we acknowledge him, Yupla, Big Man Blong, MRI, Paul Baka, where Mr. Blo here na, Line Committee where you play come long, for most long, Parliamentary Services, so when you play come one time, I may acknowledge him to all New Guinea Islands election managers where all been come walk him talk penis. Na all get a line where established here, all women's rep, all get a line established here, all distinguished guests, na all media. Me like talk Lodisla. We got 2 points to talk long and bad Lodisla long election, long campaign period. Lo me yet me looking osem, a good plan. Good plan osem you me put him campaign period osem 12 months. Because this lab I give him time long all ordinary man Mary where only like challenge. Only got this time blong gonna mail all people na talk na about like thing blong all. Because suppose you no give more time, sampla long all go long early campaign also, and then we have this confusion among all supporters inside long all community or votes blomipla. So me recommend mo say you must send na campaign period by must go 12 months in advance. So he give him chance long all ordinary line where all staff only like challenge against him all current members. The members they have enough time not to only save him this time and they can be able to talk to one more people now only look him performance long all. But man ordinary man no place or somebody that wants to be a candidate long races, you must give him all enough time so all body talk because suppose you not give him all enough time. Plenty time all kind all heavy by some come up. So I'm thinking blow me also. So me support him this thing long. Recommendation long. Election awareness period by must come up 12 months. Lo me and me come sana sit down long here long talk. Me got 2 points me like come up him. First one me look him as country blow me Papua New Guinea got plenty party through. It's over 50 or 40 to 50. Look below me from my observation. Me look him as time all this la party come, na time belong election, all people is split about, all brook about. Na time belong election now, igat brook inside long all community belong mipla. People are not there together. Na time even all parties here plenty, sampla by all member or usat all staff all balu win. Sampla in ogat. Same na time only no win. The people that support them only confused legally. Only looking mo sem. This la party or getting them win. Emo sem all think belong all East Vision, plan belong him na one em all purpose one em something all shana belong him. Long all now all this la all staff la one time this la man way em win em ba all no nap support him. Sem na mi boklo looking mo sem recommendation belong mi sem. Electoral big man electoral commission e boklo time lo reach small party go down. E one plan good planting thing because suppose planty party and two all people lo mi plan long me am president but senior with LLG na I have a rural LLG blow me. Now all people some time only sabe long one name thinking belong government. If Pangu party is now the government now yet. But he got all narpla where only form one time government long provide him service. But all people only no clear too much one name focus belong government. Some time long talk to one time all too me looking was only no sabe good too much long what is one name focus belong government and policy belong government and total sema. Me play all getai ilaina one time na me play bianim. Maski suppose sem Islamian by list so you me all getai sana one time. So me recommend mo sem at least me play got reduce all party I come down na. Me looking mo sem by me reduce 11 or 7 and by because and by confusion inside long all community and by no nap stop.
Deputy Governor, that's a very good point, but try and recommend the process of reducing the number of parties. How do you recommend that the register of political parties will handle this request? Reduce the number of parties.
Thank you, Deputy Chairman.
What would make it happen to achieve the reduction in number of parties, in your opinion?
Me looking mo some big man belong political parties. I'm only going to try and best belong all. They were trying to reduce the parties down, but still.
They still registered.
Yeah.
They still registered new parties, just
yes.
Not far from the election.
Some new ones, also now.
Yeah. So one way could be 12 months before the REACH are issued, no more registered new parties. No, that type of law. That could be one of them.
Yes.
Let me suggest another one, and others can comment on it. Mostly, in my opinion, people are voting for a candidate, man or marry candidate. But in Papua New Guinea, we have not got the culture of voting for parties. So, in this question that you have raised, Deputy Governor, very important, and I know that three of us would want to achieve a time when the country will only have maybe 3 or 4 parties. But how do we get there is the question, and my strong view, personal view, and I want your opinion is, we have to now really looking at the way we've been voting, and it's only focused on individual, Puka Temu, Allan Bed, Elias Kapabore. But we belong to different parties. But the register of political parties, ombudsman, tells us, you go in awareness period and tell the people your party policy. But when it comes, they are voting for Puka Temu, not ODP, which is my party. So can we move towards a process to changing the voting of individuals to party? What's your view?
Thank you, Deputy Chairman. Bami talking you straight, me no got answer lo this la, because me go think was reducing me come down, but experience belong big man belong political parties all the time na no got, but those you mention him, we shouldn't be voting for the parties, but the member, and we good man, and you must vote him, but it come down to the parties concerned, and now me no got good plan thinking lo this la. This one me to tolongin. Na patulongin me la tolongin em long all Mary. Me support him all Mary lo oli sanap lo election. Observance lo me lo locally lo province me looking mo some all Mary no boom one them. But me encourage him all some me play work one them all ward members from me play only make him Mary Blongol na district we have our women's rep and by work one them all. This is district rep from me play by affiliated golong Council of Women, and they should come through the process where only make one plan Mary. The process is there long. All kita ibung one them long. Time long campaign only tokos this la Mary by sana. Me looking was they can do it, but sla only no work one them. But me looking was me plalo district we are trying to get the women to work together, and then up to the district to the provincial government, and in it long National Council of Women, only one them. They will have a voice now. Only encourage him all get a Mary, all get a one time, you miss a name, you be voting this la Mary. Me looking was a maybe got way yet law. So me looking was only must work one time. Also, me play from the wards, we get a rep, na district, and me company one time, they talk together, then they come to the National Council of Women in Long Province. Then we will also only talk about this la Mary, and by we must look long end. Narapla side lo financial side lo support him all. You will look at one Mary only sanap, only struggle usat by help him all, only can help him all. But we look at the women can go forward, but long province blah blah maybe look at all only no work boom one time. But we look at suppose only work boom one time now we play work strong more base on women from the LLGs, awards LLGs, I come to this district to the province. They will. And only succeed long. Only got one or two women reps will me play it. Long go long parliament.
Very good.
Thank you.
Mr. Wawaga.
Thank you, Deputy Chairman. I think based on the question of establishment of political parties like my Deputy Governor and colleague President has expressed, for me, I think it's for the Parliament to change the laws on the establishment of political parties. Now, we have the register of political parties, but I don't think they have the power to stop new parties from being formed or established, because, like we all know, some political parties they get established maybe 1 year or 6 months before an election, and I think that's not fair. I mean, it's
We
not,
should stop that.
it should stop. It should stop. And I think we are tasking the Parliament who make the laws to stop new political parties. Maybe we'll base our, like we go into an elimination process based on performance. Like last year's election, we see how parties perform. Now, if parties that scored or got one member into Parliament last year, maybe if you got nothing at all, that party is automatically out of the race. You just get maybe two, maybe should be out. And just look at, maybe if we can establish 5 or 4 strong parties, that way we are able to really see some potential members of Parliament come, I mean people, potential members coming into Parliament to speak on behalf of the various districts, or in the case of the provincial seats, the governor, we get some good leaders coming in. So that's my response to your question on how best we can deal with the political parties in the province.
What's your view on the other, my third suggestion, and that is we, through the Register of Political Parties, give instructions and say, you go through all the parties and see what their policies are. Because in reality, many of the party policies are the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so if that work reveals that out of 40 parties, all of them, only 10 of them are different policies altogether. And so rest of you decide law, boom, one time, into 10 parties to begin with. That type of thing where, you don't, your party, you took Melanesian Alliance, National Alliance, for example, your parties are same, our policies are same. Why don't at your party executive level and leadership level, Register of Political Parties will instruct, find a way to merge and be together rather than 2 separate parties. And I'll give you this amount of time to make your decision. And then that's it. Instruction is to merge, and we are half the number of parties in the country in a very fast time. Now those type of things that we must do as a country, because plenty party is tough. The other question that we haven't been discussing in this communications and consultation is, how about independent candidates? The issue of independent candidates, plenty survey is tough here, plenty sun up. But when they stand, sometimes they go influence formation of government where they really don't have a big mandate. And so we haven't been discussing in the consultations how do we as a country handle in terms of the number of parties and also the independent candidates. Should we regulate? Should we do something or open it up like now? Those are the questions that in this discussion I'm raising so that we begin a national conversation about this new thinking in our hope to address plenty candidates, plenty parties, too many independents standing with no clear policies, and etc., rather than just looking at the election processes, polling, counting, preparation of a common role. But the other big picture is, how do we address parties? We need to move towards, because it's parties that run the country. And we must vote the policy rather than the individual. Then we give them the mandate. If their policy is free education and we vote them and they win, then no question now they will do a free education policy and run the country under free education policy, etc. Those type of thinking.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Chairman. I think with in regards to merging of parties, I think with my view on merging of parties is that when parties don't fare well in a particular election, then they should be asked, maybe consider 10 parties being considered for merging. And that way we cut down on the number of parties. Because like you say, the chairman, is that a lot of these parties, they have the same policies. And a lot of them, they just copy from the others, maybe the main ones, and it's just, they confuse our people. When they come and they campaign for exactly the same, maybe 2 or 3 candidates, they come with the same thing, although they come from 3 different parties. But they campaign and they confuse our people. So they leave them, and then people tend to wonder, what are this candidate, I mean, what are they trying to do? I mean, like, they come with the same, and they have existing policies that are already there. And some of them, like for the current parties in government, yes, we may probably consider and believing in them because they're already applying those policies when they're in government. But for others, because they just want to compete with that particular party and they come up with their own policies, which is a duplication of what is already there. So that's my view on the merging of parties. So we get rid of like those parties that don't fare well in a particular election, and we probably consider merging them so that we start the elimination process by reducing and then they can come up with our name that they want. They can merge those parties and come with a new name that will be for the good of our people in this country.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other contributions from the members? Toluluai?
Big bla issue long all political parties. Lo finding out blomi long all political parties. Only no got all financial members inside long all provinces. No got it. Even Pangu. Me no sabe long amas financial members belong any staplo is no bertan. No got it. That is a one black condition belong all party. In order lo you me come up in some ting long you me reduce him. All political parties lo country below you me must come up in some all requirement that money like forming political parties belong in me must got 1,000, 2,000 or 5,000 or 5,000 financial members belong in long 22 provinces of Papua New Guinea. Because you look at me, for me, more political parties, only no got all financial members belong all. Even one member of parliament, got one political party belong in. No got financial members belong in. The strength of a political party in a province is determined by how much member you got in the province. Na plenty of political party no got there. You look him. Na so si mi come up him some all strong law all sema. So you all financial members below you. You got amas long all got a province of Papua New Guinea. So as you know God, we will never accept you. Some ting long you may reduce him too long all number of candidate. All box sanap long all got a year. I think you must come up in some all condition too, yeah. Where you may add him some condition, you go inside long all current condition where you step inside long all candidate lo be anima. You may are finish plenty all candidate only talk long financial constraints. You will look him. Who said candidate like contest? And we must present him latest balance belonging law account belonging. You got 20,000 I go on top. So sino ka di sala money, ino kan sana. Nomination fee mas guanta plus 10,000. Natu because lo imi prevent him violence. Candidate tu mas buy simple kind of bond fee. It's refunded. So that all supporters believe by behave so that you by give back the salary funded 10,000, half of 10,000, it could be a bond fee. Yeah. So all supporters believe behave good, but you can see half belonging. All supporters believe you know behave good, sorry you lose the money. Thank you, Chair.
I think those are practical things that we can look at whilst we are exploring the wider issues and some of the more philosophical aspects of democracy. We've got to look at some of the more practical aspects of how we can make it work. So I thank you for that. Panel, you play enough now? Or are you liking one more? Toluluai?
Yes.
All right, me give him your last one now.
But we talk long, some all big issue is a come up long time lo campaign, long all candidate. Na you me predict him all sema, all talk picture will come now all same 27 but enough good blah. The train of campaign emisenisa. You got money, all people be behind you. Today, all people in look more long sabe bloman or quality blo leader or look lo money. You me look him. Me witness him lo East Britain large amount of money he been put down lo time lo campaign locations. You me look him. Candidate come by him kai long all bungi mol mama and by mo kai lo 3,000 kina, 4,000 kina, 5,000 kina, 2,000 kina, 1,000 kina. On the other end, lo ito ko lo sema. Suppose candidate been to ko lo sema, mi ba mi sala kai ni putting 1 or 2 lo mi, that's buying votes. Na suppose emi buying tasol. Emi no buying votes. But the issue is, you are spending this large amount of money where the timing is not right. Time lo election, yeah. You may look him. So you may look him today. The previous elections is being going on. Now you may look him. Now why na inogat law iketsa one time kind of situation all the same. Thank you, Chair.
So what law would you suggest? You want us to outlaw campaigning? So candidates will just get their pamphlet themselves and they knock door to door like other countries. All this big show of campaigns finish. So every candidate will have their pamphlet in the electorate. There are 1 or 2 carriers, they door to door, and they go and, or they read, so okay. No rallies, illegalize them. No can hold him rally. No can hold him big campaign. These are illegal because this is where the corruptive practices are happening. So you should recommend that we should look at illegalizing. So everybody behaves the same. No money, big money, we all do the same. Isn't that fair law? What do you think?
No, me, lo before, me looking mo lo same. All man sa buong, all candidate come campaign, but money no sa pull down. And before, natate senisa. Himi looking. Electoral Commission, working my awareness blog and me to ko lo sema. When them kind money and me pull down lo time lo campaign is already seen as buying votes. So he must get law stop. All the same, I go back and ask him, me, why na law no catch up one time all candidate where all give big money, whether winning or losing candidate, all give big money or only buy him.
Can I ask you a question? Time all Mary leaders been sent down. I think one of them mentioned that here lo is New Britain, all people too all is smart now. So time all candidate come, I think Manus too one kind, Mipla Sipik too one kind. All people all back blow all get a candidate. In fact, the people are taking advantage of the candidates, not the other way around. Now you lo is New Britain and you think on them. I mean, what is stopping, you can say that one candidate is spending 3,000 kina for food and Mibla lo sipik also make him also. I'll tell you now, it's become an industry. All youth blow Mibla, all by building stage. All get a place, he got stage. Time blow campaign now. Me talking, me story lo sipik style. You want to campaign in that village, all by talking you. 1,000 kina lo hire him stage. It doesn't matter who you are. Sing group, sanap stop 600 kina sing group. Mama group lo kukai stop 1,000 kina. So they actually give you the bill upfront.
Commerce of elections.
Now you come long like me got one market site long. We call him Sundown Market, which is a very popular market. All monkey every election they build a stage there. All by put him sign low side. Hire him one music
PA system.
PA system. Hire him stage. Buy him kai. Light him finish stuff. Now all by talking you crowd is stuff. You yet now. So, I mean. Where do we go? I mean, for me, I admire the ingenuity of my people. Every village we go to, in fact, I think it started in one district. And I saw it back in 2012. Now, whole province here. Now, all by giving you candidate, will talk him, yeah? You like campaign lo place him. Cost, yeah? Sing group, youth group, hire him car, got rate, yeah. All got something got rate. Hire him speedboat. Mipla long you like hire him speedboat. Buy you hire him boat. Buy you pay him engine. Buy him fuel. You pay for the fuel. I'm also talk head motor. And then you pay for the operator of the speedboat. In fact, when you hire a speedboat, it's more expensive than hiring a car. So Mipla buy travel lo wara, civic wara, lig. So you can imagine the cost. And then people are commercializing it. So I don't think our people are stupid, you know. Certainly not in my province. My province, although time blue election, some districts only stop lo walk garden too. Because although time blow kai now, and they expect the candidates to feed the village. So every village you go to, already you come campaign all stuff. They are ready. You just have to pay the fee to hire all of the amenities. You car too, but you hire him. All by give you time blow election, all travel, all candidate, all text him. No, car blow me available. My truck is available this much every day. All making money now. Now you play in Britain, are they doing the same or what's happening? So I'm giving you the other side. You are saying stop it, but our people are saying no. Chance blow me blow making money.
Thank you, Chairman. So that means that all awareness blow electoral commission long when money me put down lo time blow campaign must be stopped.
Well, I just presented to you the practice in some parts. Me play any commercial pension. I mean, you
illegalize it.
That's the thing. Do you want us to illegalize it? I mean, you plan here lo East New Britain. I mean, us in Civic, even if you want to, you like walking bungalow, story lo ground now. Also, okay, you got a court case lo story lo ground. Church activity or one, they'll expect you to cook food and provide transport for everybody to turn up and have that meeting, and then provide transport for them to go back. So, you know, you can't have it both ways. For us, all by talk. Why by me come na? Wasting time lo harim talk blue when I should be looking after my vanilla or looking after my cocoa. They don't want to come and listen to you. You're wasting their time because you go to place lo campaign, the people are in the cocoa garden, so they will not come out and listen to you. So you have to provide the environment lo losing work lo na kam harim talk below you. So these are just some of the realities. If you go to like on the Sipik River, if you turn up and they're all out fishing, empty village, but you come na looking here. So what you have to do is they say, well, the stage is going to cost you this much. You like bring him all man, this la place come down, it will cost you 200-liter drums of petrol, one time zoom. So you have to. If you don't, then nobody turns up. And those are just some of the realities. So what do we do? As Puka said, in my province, for example, if you want to go from Wewak to May River, it will take you 4 hours on the road to get to Pagui. and then it will take you 26 hours on the river to get to May River to campaign. So those are the realities in my province. And it's similar in other places. I think Abao, it takes you, 3 hours to go across the ocean?
4 hours.
4 hours. So, and then in places like Millen Bay, it can take you 2 days to go from one island to the next unless you have a plane. What do we do? Elections are expensive exercises. You know, all man by campaign lo you, all by losing family blow na. Triple moon ball run on them you so. Family blow back I also monem. So I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. In fact, when I was taken to court, these are all the things I put down in my affidavit to the judge. I said, look, ICP also. You want to campaign in a village, you have to hire the stage. You have to hire the sound system. You have to, if you want a sing-sing group, well, there's a standard cost. You want a band, well, the village has a band. You have to pay for it, string band back and play. And for us, it's a big show day. And in fact, for me, when I was putting on rallies, me inviting more candidates, open candidates, regional candidate, me talk stage stuff, it's already paid for. I'm only going to speak for 20 minutes.
They'll only vote for the one who paid for it.
Me blame no gate. All civic by talk. Na, I'm talk within straight, but me give me bla. All civic sa talk also. Time blow election, you kagay lo all get a hub. Now you pack lo toilet blow you yet. What that means is that 6 months before the election, they already decided on who they are going to vote for. And it doesn't matter how much money you spend, they will not change their mind. I'm locked in stuff. But that's for us. That's our cultural practice. And you just have to recognize it. If you know that you're not going to get votes from there, then you ask yourself, should I campaign there or must I lose in the Ngolo Narplapa? And me plus I make him also. Manus we heard from them this morning, they lie to all their candidates, especially the ones from Mosby. All by Giamani Mall, all get to spend the money, man lo plus kiss him vote. Which is interesting coming from me plus civic to one kind, all but online come lo Mosby, pinisi money blow. So, you know, I have known of some candidates who came in and spent serious amounts of money. You know, I mean, I'm talking in the millions, and these are people I know, and they still lost. So, me can talk in straight of them. I don't think money influences the outcome, because the people are smarter than the candidates. One young candidate I know, he ran for a particular seat. Killing business, in fact, in 2 seats, they finished their business money. To the point where now I'm all struggle stablo Mosby. One of them said to me, oh, Big Pla, I will never run for an election again. I am not even going home anymore. I'm talking, man lo place is in outlaw. Maybe I give him money, lo help him. I'm not helping anybody in the village. Me enough, me finish. So these are some of the, both sides of the coin. But me just sharing one time, you plan scale him. I mean, what do we do? Do we allow the practice or do we outlaw it? Puka.
I'll just have one question to both the, especially the Deputy Governor and the President, and also the young men and the Mr. Luluai can answer. Next year is LLG elections. I want to know how you are preparing as a province. Would you recommend to the committee that LLG elections should be the responsibility of provincial governments rather than national governments? What's your view?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Chairman. Running elections is expensive, and but for LLG elections, it should be a lot cheaper than running a national elections, because of the geographical location within each LLG and the districts. We are able to, we can contain the situations and the costs and all that.
Now suppose me play through the committee, me play suggest also money belong national election too, by go straight to province conducted. What would your response be?
For the national elections or for the LLG elections?
Both.
Yeah.
All elections.
Yeah. For me, Chairman, it would be I think we in the province have the capacity to run elections.
Supervised by the
Electoral Commission in the province, but the funds should be left with the provincial government. Because like you expressed earlier, money belong. Last year, when I say money been go away, because in East Tibetan it's the same. We probably only 1 million came to the province, but it also when in that because of that it depleted our provincial budget and our district budget because the districts
district to
chip in long supply areas. So where did all that money go to? We don't know. That's why now this afternoon time question belong running elections long provincial elections and should I also the same with future national elections, even the province can run him. I think we have the capacity to do that.
The other question that I wanted to ask was, when I'm thinking currently all presidents are ward members who are then elected through a chamber election, council chamber election. You play still prefer him as la ward one or you play like him direct election belong all presidents?
Chairman, we have been a ward member and LG president for 3 terms now. And I prefer that if I'm the LG president, I'd rather just stick to be the LG president for that LG.
Direct election?
Direct election by the people for the LG president. Because currently, there were a number of, like 1997 when it came in, the people elected the board members and the board members elected the president at the chamber level. And that's the same for 2007, but as, 2002. But as of 2007, there was a separate election for the LG president, voted in by the people, and also the board member was elected separately. So, from the experience that I had, I think that it's wise to have the LLG president voted by the people direct into the provincial, to the LLG as the head of the LLG, and then be a member of the provincial assembly. And if he becomes a member of the provincial executive council.
Thank you. Deputy Governor, thinking please.
Thank you, Chairman. Me thinking below me, I got 2 plus separate election, one Pablo president yet, and one Pablo ward member. Long now yet, I'm elected as ward member long press below me, and then me play come long LLG, all ward members only elect him as president, so me play isan up. But me looking was time this la process he come up, even got kind of semi-column corruption, kind of help him long outside, all some business line outside.
All man arasite, pay him some money go long all ward members, long influence him used by come up president.
Not really. Also only lobby now only provide him logistics, all this or something. Na also only work lot of us. Me like by you come a president, so time you come a president, me pla by look lo you give him some pla contract or some pla help him come lo me pla. But
so you know got independence time money come up president because of this like I know passing.
Yes, Chairman. Me looking at some time only vote him president separately. I'm all get a people this la LLG blow me all get only put him hand lo him. Na time all ward members yet only go to assembly now only vote him. In me must all this la ward members that's all stop so. There'll be two camps. That's all also this la this la look long. Sampla only line on top only walk long. Influence him all. Sometimes this la leadership come up him no good plan. Miluki Mosem. So it doesn't represent all kita people. Time you kisi one plamana me represent all kita people lo LG. All kita people you vote mem. Time all board members you vote mem. This la kind practice come up. Na miluki mem no good pla. But also mi wok lo lukim nar pla tulong side blong lo responsibility blong mi pla. Now me no go down osem me maki one plaman osem chairman blow place blow me. But some of the time will look lo me yet, but me must go down. But because time become anta me
You
go
got two role lah.
yeah. Narpla also me president now, number 2, na ben bim go lo district blow me, and then become lo provincial government. I have my duties.
So you have three different appointments.
Yeah. Now also me come up also one PC member and me got all work blow me.
4 pla.
Province.
You got 4 pla.
Also na it's a burdensome. Now some of the time me play no make him good work blow me pla. So also Larry also president yet Larry all people vote him they come. Now long all vote them and by irresponsibly go down all people because time me play you all get our responsibility come lo me also vote member na ben me president na ben me kamanta me member blow DDA lo district blow me and then me play kamanta blow provincial government me member blow provincial government lo PC and then some time all this something it occupies my time. Minus I go down. Sem na me work long. Looking mo sem. President yet all kita people he must vote him. Then they will know that he was chosen by all the people. In all, some all board members are solely work him.
Thank you.
I'm thinking below me.
Thank you, Deputy Governor. Any further questions?
Just on that one, Deputy Governor, we have the same problem with us. We are also open members and members of the Provincial Assembly. And when one is a minister, then like you, too many jobs or unfair on the individual leader, too much pressure, etc., etc. So if you look at the overall structure, my own view, and you can debate it later, but we have to reform some things. On the presidential election, all we do is remove the optional component. So then we will say presidential elections is by the people. Currently, it's either ward members or people. So we'll have to resume this option, just one option only. So that will cut that out of it altogether. Some people are arguing that members of parliament should not be members of the provincial assembly. Some people are also arguing that presidents should not be members of the provincial assembly. They are heads of the local level governments. They must be full-time at the local level government, not come to the provincial assembly. Like us, we must be full-time in the electorate and not go worry about assembly meetings, etc., etc. Some lawyers are saying this is unconstitutional. And so, tripla issue here. My own view, and I can say it in public media, I think we have been doing it wrong. So we have to undertake a major relook at this issue of open members being provincial assembly members, presidents being also members of the provincial assembly. And so, in our efforts in the election integrity issue, our consultation is about the integrity of the election process in Papua New Guinea. And so, the question comes, is election process the only way of electing leaders in our country? This so-called democratic Westminster system of going through an election process, even at the ward level, you conduct an election. Where do our Melanesian structures of Luxabelo leaders comes in? And then we are messing up election with its issues that we are now the committee established to try and make elections free, fair, and safer in Papua New Guinea. So these are big issues which we are struggling with. Yeah. So in the reforms that we want to do with the elections, as a committee member of this parliamentary committee, I think our work will not end here. We will have to relook at the question that I have raised. Open members, they shouldn't be in the provincial assembly. Same question, governor shouldn't be in the national parliament. He should be running the province. President should be running the LLGs, not coming to the provincial assembly. And so how do we organize ourselves? At the LLG level, should we go through an election process? Why don't we say, mask election process in the ward elections? Why don't we use our Melanesian structures of leadership and say, okay, Lotu is up, women is up, business is up, youth is up. Why don't those organizations nominate their own reps and we form the ward development committee? And they elect their chairman, rather than an election, because election here, I mean, got problem is up. At the provincial assembly level, and so president, you play East Law LLG. Provincial assembly, we have a representative government. Why don't we say business rep, you elect one rep to come to the provincial assembly. Women, you nominate one to come to the provincial assembly. Rather than go through this silly, fraudulent election process that we are struggling with as a young democratic country. I thought I'd throw these things out because I'm seeing the future as somewhere that we have to reorganize ourselves as a country. We are playing marbles or working something now half now. It's not fitting together. So we are not providing traction in getting the country moving forward in the right pace of development. 40 years ago, Malaysia was same as us, rubber producing country. They left us 40 years behind now. We are still where we are. And maybe it is these issues that is strangulating us. And last session I raised the issue of independence of the public service, politicized too much. So I want to use this opportunity to raise these issues, and I want to raise a level of national conversation about the structures that we have been struggling with. We've adopted a Westminster system of democracy, but someone told me we adopted it, but we are still struggling with the culture. Culture in the struggle, because it's not us, it's a foreign concept. And so I think this conversation must continue. But coming back to the election 2027 and the election 2024 for LLGs, whether for 2024, because it's just next year, my question of should we give the funding to the provincial governments and let them conduct the 2024 LLG elections, and with the Electoral Commission overseeing and making sure that everything is done. And then in the 2027 election, the committee's recommendation will then be implemented to target 2027 elections to be free, fair, and safe. So those are my strong personal views. I've been in Parliament for 20 years, now my 5th term. And I have always said that the country must address these issues. If we don't, the powers, functions, responsibilities with different levels of governments will still confuse each other. Same as elections here, public service here, government here. Organic law and provincial government, local level governments came in 1995. One of the organic laws that had the majority, the largest number of amendments in this country is the organic law on provincial governments and local level governments. And we really have to sort that out as well as organic law and the integrity of political parties and candidates. Went to the Supreme Court, recommendations were done, and we haven't picked it up as a country. We have to solve that too, clean it up, because that's politics, organic law and the integrity of political parties and candidates. With the election changes that we want, we also want to look at how can we promote parties? How can we stop party hopping, for example? The issue of members of parliament changing parties every now and then. Should they be penalized? You know, those type of issues are real. They are the real issues, and I want citizens of this country to be serious about this country. And as I said, coming back, creating a highly credible election process is the way to go. And it requires all of us to behave according to law. Young people, churches, candidates, supporters, we must all follow the law. Suppose no God, committee by finish, another committee will come, we'll be repeating ourselves until the cows come home.
Chairman, may like
Yes.
welcome some comment.
Please go ahead.
Sir, Doctor, Sir Puka Temu, mi amamans lo comment below you that you may need long, look back lo some plow lo below you me long. Lo mi pla lo is no Britain. Time mi pla been stop long, all pla provincial government system, mi pla been all right. Na mi yet, mi sa tokolosem, the reform that came about in 1997 was like a curse. 1995. And we bring him big pla heavy here. Now you look him. Before long all pla provincial government system, you may been looking all same. All national politicians, all been stopped all yet. All provincial politicians, all been stopped all yet. I need lo premier. And me, he been good pla. He no been got big pla political, he no been got political interference long all national politicians, he come along province. You may look him. Today time, you may stop and need the reform. But you may look him now all the same. The judiciary arm of the government, yet is stop, yet. Now, the administrative arm of the government, want them the legislative arm of the government, the reform and bring him to pla want them. Look at one pla. Now you may look him. All people you look him member of the parliament now, all you look, you know lo work him law, long look now, lo material now. Service delivery. You may look him. To make it worse, DDA Act they come inside Ken. And we see now this is a member of the parliament here, law go inside law implementation framework, which and work the public servant. You may look him member of the parliament to now, come up with some public servant to now. You may look him. Me yet me say sit down and me say look him all the same. This is a organic law. Blow reform, provincial government LLG reform. You must put him back to the drawing board now. You must put him back to the blackboard now. You may look long end. You must send him sample all law long end inside. You may look him. Whether you may rouse him, there's all functions belong national members will be part of the provincial government. You may can rouse him. You may can rouse him. Now you may look him. You may can look to send him so that all presidents. They are not voted to the LLGs, but you may vote him only come inside long provincial assembly. You may look him. So when me yet look blow me look him all the same. Plenty reform you may go inside long end, and me put him you me lo one kind confused situation Then now you may Paul now all every come inside now. You may look him. So look blow me yet me say look him all the same. You must look back long all reform where you may go inside long in there. Whether you may rouse him, na kisim back all provincial government system, and stop lo an you may look long end. In addition, lo desla, me work look him all the same. All members lo national parliament here, he work increase long all the term here. You look him. Now we 110 now, or 111, 18. No good. 27 by go 125 or amasa. Now The more you may work edim all members of parliament, you may work come up all nupla electorate na district, na you may work come up all nupla members of parliament, you may work give him big pla pen long electoral commission, yeah. You look him long EVA. Why can't the parliamentary service lo national level team must go inside some reform? You may look him. Plenty time is a sit down all sema. Having so many members up there is very expensive. And just imagine the allowance, kai, wonem, travel, na desla. You may look him. Me plenty time is a thing all sema. Why can't you me look, lo come up him big parliament, na legal parliament. You may look him. Me yet me sa tingin mo lo sema. The national parliament now, you may vote him to all governor and only come up member of the national parliament. All governor tas all. Now open members, you can come up in regional parliament. Regional parliament also, New Guinea Islands regional parliament. All kata open members, you may vote him only go long regional parliament. Lomo Maseno Islands na sipika. I'm so proud thinking way sa come inside lomi. Thank you.
Big plan reform all kata.
But look, these are interesting things. You me like bringing me come back in. You me focus lo election. Me allow him. Me thank you me lo des la kind of thing. And Papua New Guinea harem pinisna. Behind suppose you me you got time you me can look low. Des la kind of something. But it's important that those thoughts are out there in the public domain. Honorable Kapabore.
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Blomi, some statement made by Thiolam. Dr. Look, reduce the number of candidates during elections. So you said if there's a process in place, giving example to Kokopo district, suppose you got 4 blood all run, I'm also all right. We want to tighten up the system, make it efficient, cost effective as well. The more candidates we have, we use up a lot of funding too. So we were discussing today, a previous discussion, we said something about if there's a need for pre-election, we got some election, you can co-pass. The one kind of 6 months now, all the line, we all contest this election. They all come and contest, and after 6 months or so, also the top 5 candidates, the other ones all now go through the process now. Like no simul now, only run long main election threat. So, what do you think about kind of assistance or thinking also? You support him slide here, or you think also on him? Suppose you will reduce him. I mean, that's an important point. Yeah. National elections.
Yes. Thank you, through you, Chairman. The question, committee member Miraishi, may be important. Based on my earlier suggestion on reducing the number of candidates per district, and also maybe also at the regional seat, you should also consider reducing the number of candidates in the regional seat. I only suggested, like as an example for Kokopo, because we have 4 LLGs in Kokopo district. In Pomio, you have 5, currently you have 5 LLGs. However, if they bring in the binding electorate later, you probably will end up with 6.
We got 5 now.
Oh, you have 5. 7. You have got 6, 7. Okay, whatever number it is. But in that case, we'll consider 1 member or 1 candidate representing each LLG. That's just a suggestion. And that will definitely reduce the number of candidates per electorate. And then, like you said, Honorable Member, we will reduce the cost of preparing for elections for that particular electorate. And if we can be across the board.
Can I summarize for you in the interest of time?
Yes.
Obviously, we need to look at a method to reduce the number of candidates and allow a better choice for the citizens. Yes. I think that's what you are suggesting, and that's what everyone has agreed to. So I think that note has been taken down already by our team sitting there. You have any?
Yeah. Chairman, I'd like to say that the observation or the discussion made by the security personnel, giving the status of the respective regions, playing country, NGI region, in which I was saying, I think we have been green for the last couple of years to come. We need to maintain that. So that's the reason why this committee and important through all talk we make today, making sure that we maintain our status as ensuring free, fair, and elections, safe elections in the years to come. So was we losing control of the election process today, and by me go towards yellow and go red, which we don't want to see in the future. So I'm start alert now, long something where look up could too much the province play me, or NGI along regions play me. So we have to really be aware of this and be cautious that we should not lose our status as I think at the moment it's green. Now we will maintain this going into the future because Tok or some assistance or Tok or only making finish them next election will not be the same. So I think in NGI region we have been conducting free, fair, safe elections in the past couple of years. I'd like to say that it's not the same going forward. That's the reason why this committee is important. I mean, lot of thank you along the chairman, team, we will go past long, and so we will continue to support the committee and going forward into the future. Thank you.
All right. On that note, thank you, Honorable Kapavore. I want to thank our participants. It become 5 o'clock now, so let me close the session. But before I do, this is our last of the regional consultations. I want to just give a note out to those who may be watching and those who may still wish to do written submissions. You probably have about 2 more weeks. Our goal is to finalize the report and to take it to the next session of Parliament. We anticipate that the next sitting of Parliament could be 3 weeks. So somewhere within that period, we would like to take a final report in. The reason for that is quite simple. Listening to the contributions by all of the state agencies and all of you at the provincial levels, we noticed that time is of the essence. Suppose you may like bring him some plus senis, come inside this little process, make him election 2027, he come up more better than what we've seen. Then of course, we've got to act quickly and we've got to get into the budget in November. So some of these structural changes or even legal changes that we need to make, legislative amendments and so on and so forth, Miplay need to make him hurry up. So Miplay, a lot of the recommendations, me like talk also long line where you know got opportunity to contribute. I think from going around listening to all of the different provincial teams, it's very obvious that the issues are the same. It's just how the changes that we make that will improve on the outcomes. All right, common role, issues around funding so that the conduct of the elections is a lot better. Who should be holding the money? Who should be spending it? Who should be responsible for updating electoral rolls? Who should be conducting what? Who should be doing the oversight? All of these management type issues. The thing that I want to assure the people of Papua New Guinea over is this. While many of you have not had the opportunity to contribute, the opportunity is still there. I'm happy as chairman to conduct some more hearings in Mosby, and those that have very pertinent issues or papers that they wish to present, we can always entertain them there. However, the NRI, whose director is sitting with us today and has been here also yesterday, the NRI has been compiling observers' reports going back several decades. So all got this little report where plenty or something now me play kam na harim lo yupla all province na kain all sem. Emi confirm him tas all one or something where NRI holy mistap. So NRI, INA, you play looking director INA to Paul Baka and me sit down and stop there writing the report. Me play member of parliament where me play stop lo committee. Me play no look him report yet. Me play approve him framework lo report. Now only write him. I would expect that Miplol member of parliament, we will only make superficial recommendations if we have to. Otherwise, all get a ting na talk long, all get a online come na contribute lo threaten display election. and by stop inside the report. Me no think also MIPLA members by come na work him sample significant change long recommendations and by no God. The reason for that is what you have just expressed in this panel and others and what we've heard from everywhere. We cannot risk the 2027 elections. I think it's too important for the many, many reasons that Yupla Planti bring him come. So we have a responsibility as representing the parliament to ensure that whatever is practical, MIPLA by oversight him. Once the report is presented on the floor, members of parliament, I expect many of them will not object. Planti am only hamamas lo work MIPLA make him na. Only by supporting all recommendations MIPLA put him. The committee, I expect, will continue its work up until, say, 2026. Oversight him, all the recommendations must be implemented. So the committee will continue to work. But I think it's important that we get the document in quickly, because I'm 2023 now. Suppose me play kisim sampla money lo budget, lo start him work, lo fix him electoral roll. And there's been suggestions to start again from scratch or to use the ward roll and all of that. All academics, all technical advisors, by sit down to look na, scale him now, all by working on the recommendation. But if we are to change that, we've got to start next year. I'm 2024 now. And then 2025, 2026, I'm late. So we've actually got 2 years to do this. So me like him, you people, Papua New Guinea, you harim stop. At least you understand why we are speeding up. It doesn't mean that we miss out on anything, because I'm confident that the reports that NRI Holim, INA Holim, these are credible reports that go back, and many of them are independently published. So me like give him this talk to give confidence to the people out there who didn't have an opportunity. You play yet can come and look him this report when it's finalized. And I speak for our members sitting here, you know, the integrity of Puka, Honorable Kapabore, our other members who are not here, Honorable Maki, Honorable Naguri, Honorable Pim, Olino Stap. These are people who have sat on these committees, and I've seen their personal commitment, because all too worry lo electorate blow, people blow. So maybe collectively like trying to improve him. So I just wanted to say that up front. And finally, let me on behalf of the committee and on behalf of the parliament, I want to thank all of the provinces and the teams who have heeded the call and turned up and given us your thoughts, provided evidence. You know, the southern region, starting from Western Gulf, Central NCD, Milne Bay, Oro, Orlando Highlands. I think 2 provinces in the Highlands didn't turn up, and we will, and those are the 2 troublesome provinces. We will be summoning them to Port Moresby to hear their version of events, because they need to also be on the record. You may not abrusim tupla province, because the people in those provinces deserve better elections, and it is our responsibility to try and give them that. But all line lo Imilo Highlands generally, or line lo Momase, now you play line lo NGI, you play pinisim this flow about me talk thank you you play algeda on behalf of the committee. Now, finally, I want to congratulate those provinces that had pockets of success, despite the very difficult circumstances that every province had. Some public servants, you did your duty, and you were exemplary. Now, also the people, I want to commend the people. You know, we just heard from Aroba. They've done a tremendous job, and they deserve the recognition and the congratulations of the parliament of the people of Papua New Guinea. Same one time Eastern Highlands and 1 or 2 others, all provinces were West Sepik, only conducting good play election, peaceful, or they managed to do all those things. And you know, there are others that supposed me not been mentioning, me talk sorry. But to recognize all of your efforts. This last something, you know, MIPLA one by making, MIPLA committee one by making, na me come up. And by needing halibim na look sabe blong all get the national agencies, all sabe man blong MIPLA, you blow line long province, you blow line long electoral office. You know, it's your own motto that says elections is everyone's business. Well, this committee is trying to ensure that it is. And the very basic concept of 1 person, 1 vote, done in relative safety and security, and that the voices of the people of Papua New Guinea get heard. I think that's what we are trying to ensure. And of course, all of the issues of quality and everything else that you have mentioned. So with that, thank you, Yupla Olgata. Now, this hearing belong Special Parliamentary Committee into the 2022 elections is now adjourned until further notice. Thank you all very much.